we have the illustrious world-famous sex coach, Caitlin V., host of Good Sex on HBO.
Like, I want it to be like a beautiful penis. That's important
Okay.
to me,
Okay.
right? It doesn't matter if it has pepperoni. Like, the
Sure.
angle's not a problem. Had one of my like best sexual partners ever. Had like that was like a phenomenal experience. Like, once we figured out kind of the ways, amazing. I could make the curve hit like exactly the right spot. It's one factor of many, and I honestly think I can speak for the majority of women when I say that we would rather have someone who.
Hey guys, it's Hink here. So I am so honored and thrilled to have such a special guest with me today. We have the illustrious world-famous sex coach, Caitlin V., host of Good Sex on HBO, that was kind enough to honestly reach out to me and do some work with me. So we're going to be doing some amazing work today. So Caitlin, if you want to take it from here and give a brief intro as well.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me, first of all. We ended up here because you made a video responding to a podcast that I was in, and I reached out and you were like so gracious to come and fly to Los Angeles. But yes, I am a sex and relationship coach. I've been specializing in working with men for the last 10 years. Really what I work on is performance anxiety that is manifest in premature ejaculation, erectile dysfunction, or delayed ejaculation, and with men who just want to have better relationships both with themselves intimately and with their partners.
Yeah, perfect. And so we're going to have a link to all of your stuff in the description below for anybody that's interested. But we got some spicy topics today. We're going to be talking all about, with an actual expert, penis size, okay? And so let's get right into it. It seems like men care far more than women when it comes to penis size. What's your take on that?
I think that's true. I think at least like publicly that's true, right? I think that women are all over. Just in the same way that like penis size is all over a spectrum, right? Like so are women's opinions about it, right? I think that in terms of the men who come to me and want coaching or want advice, it's typically them who's caring more than their partner or their wife or their girlfriend. It's often like the wife or the girlfriend is satisfied. She doesn't necessarily see it as an issue, but he sees it as an issue, and so he wants support with it.
One of the things that comes up so often on my channel, I had to make a video about it, is men want to know how they size up compared to some of their other partners. Would you recommend they ask that question even though they're dying to know it? Or if they do want to ask it, do you have any tips on how to go about that?
Yeah, that's a great question. For me personally, at this point in my life, I don't like sharing a bunch of information about previous partners, like on anything, right? Like, I don't want to know how many people someone has slept with. I don't want them to know how many people I've slept. I don't want them to like have anything in their mind to compare. I like living a little bit in the world of ignorance is bliss. I don't want to know a whole lot about an ex-girlfriend or a former wife or anything like that. And that includes in their sex life. And one of the reasons for that is that, like, two people coming together creates something unique always, right? And I used to be non-monogamous. So I used to have other partners. My partner had other partners. And so I got used to living in this world of like, the thing that he has with her is unique. It's not comparable to the thing that he has with me. And it takes a lot of work to like hold that as a frame. But I would say that it takes less work to live in ignorance than it takes to like live with uncomfortable information that you can never unknow.
Right. Yeah. And so I often tell the guys that basically don't ask, just because there's really no good that can come from it whatsoever.
Right.
So.
Either she's going to tell you the truth and then you're going to feel like if the truth is harmful, right? Or she's going to lie because she wants to save your ego. And either way, you're not going to know if what she's saying is true or not, right?
Exactly.
Like you weren't there, so you can't say.
Right. So even if she says she's the biggest, a lot of these guys are in their head. They're like, oh, she's just saying that. And then I think maybe you can speak to this from a woman's perspective, that kind of like reeks of insecurity, and typically women don't like that.
Yeah, it's a turn off for some guy to be like, hey, am I the biggest you ever had? Am I the best you ever had? Or whatever. For me, it's like, the people who I had sex with in my early 20s, I was having sex with as like a different woman who I am today. The sex that I'm having today is reflective of who I am, how much I've learned, what I've grown, like how I know my body, the fact that my body has changed, my hormones have changed. Like, they're not comparable for so many reasons.
Right. So speaking of size, how do you think size correlates with pleasure, if at all?
So I would be lying if I said that there's no correlation, right? Like there's a relationship between size and pleasure, but I like to say that it matters. It's not necessarily important. Like another way of saying that is like there's so many things that matter when it comes to pleasure and satisfaction. Size is one of the factors, but I think it's really easy for guys especially to get overly focused on that because it's measurable, right? Like we can say definitively 5.5 versus 5.25 versus 6.5. Like it's easier to get stuck on something that we can quantify. Whereas like energy, presence, quality of touch, these things are not quantifiable. And so I think they're a little harder to focus on, and that makes them a little harder to prioritize.
Yeah. So a common phrase is it the motion or the ocean or the size of the boat? So I'm going to ask a two-part question. Number one, what do you think about that? Which one is more important? And number two, what about a guy that has both?
Yeah, I think that when we think about it like that, we have the size of the boat, but it's not just the motion of the ocean, right? It's like the quality of the ocean, the location of are there like, I don't know, I'm going to make some analogies that may not make sense. Are there like submarines, enemy submarines in this ocean? Is the ocean friendly? Is the sun up? Even if the motion is really good, if the ocean is scary and there's like sharks and enemy boats nearby, like, and by which I mean like red flags, things that make you not a safe lover, like then all the motion of the ocean is going to feel chaotic and scary no matter how big the boat is. So I think it is both. And like, you know, for myself, for example, I've had lovers that ranged across the spectrum. A lover with a micro penis and a lover with like one of the largest penises that I have ever seen in person. And I actually got injured. Like, I think we underestimate this. Like, I was injured by a large penis in a very, like, consensual, excited sexual encounter with, like, plenty of foreplay. I still experienced an injury. So if someone and that guy was an amazing lover, too. He wasn't, like, lazily just, like, you know, relying on the fact that he had a big dick and, like, being like, yeah, whatever, you know, like, I think a lot of men rely on their size instead of learning how to be a great lover. This guy actually did have both, and I still ended up getting injured. So it's nice to have both. I think focus on the things that you can control, and the thing about the motion of the ocean and the quality of your touch and all that are those are skills that you can learn. Those are things that you can actually have a pretty high degree of control over. So if you want to make changes in how you are as a lover, I would say start with the lowest hanging fruit. Start with the stuff that you can quickly learn, the techniques, the skills, like practice those things because they're going to make a big difference, and you're not going to have to expend a bunch of energy to see results. Yeah.
So what has been your experience when it comes to like what do you feel is the average, and are you willing to put a number to what you think the average size is?
Well, and both of you and I have read the studies, right? And seen that the initial study that said like what 6.5 was self-reported and probably a full inch over what actual average is. You know, I think all women, myself included, are going to have like some degree of selection bias, right? Like I've had this haircut since I was like 4 years old. I have always like screamed like bisexual lover girl. And so I think that the guys that have, you know, been attracted to me and that I've also been a sexpert and interested in sexuality since I was a teenager. So I think like my actual sample size might not be reflective of all people. But that said, I think if I'm looking back and I'm honest, like if I was to put all of the lovers I've ever had together, they probably would come out to like a 5.5 inch, maybe slightly larger because again, self-selection bias. Like I was saying before we started filming, I've been to orgies and sex parties and play parties. And like, again, I think there's also a selection bias there. There are guys of every size there, penises of every single size and people of every size, right? But again, I think men in particular are more likely to show up inside of those spaces if they're like really confident in their body and what they're packing. Again, that doesn't mean that they need to have any particular size to show up in those spaces. But yeah, even inside of that, even with all of that selection bias, I think I would still say like 5.5, maybe 6 at most is the average that I've seen over my life.
So I want to put you on the spot here because one of my issues with women is that they will say like, oh, my last partner was 7 inches. And, you know, personally, I don't think, and this goes for men as well, but that they don't really know actually what 7 inches is. And so I want to put you on the spot. Okay, great. We got a ruler here today. And so I'm going to hold
that was such a
the
good
measured
toss in front of the LED wall too.
And so I want you to try to pull out, let's just go with 6 inches.
Oh, wait, which one? Oh, turn the other way. Yep, other way. Okay. 6 inches. I'm going to say that. Lock it.
So you are just shy of 6
I
inches.
went under.
5.5.
Okay,
so
but that's the problem, right? Is that women they overestimate, right? Or they underestimate.
So I think that 6 inches is a lot bigger than what most women
yeah,
think.
okay, so it was bigger than what I thought. Because I thought it was at like 5.5. I thought we were at 6.
So that's pretty good. You're gonna have to take my word for it. But actually, both me and my business partner were able to actually accurately pull out 6 right on the dot. But we're also men, and we probably
Maybe
measure
have
far
done
too
more
much.
stuff with your hands.
Yeah.
More measuring.
Right.
Nice. We should take this on the street and
So
survey some random women.
we tried to do some street interviews, and we did it in kind of daylight hours with mostly sober people. So we didn't get as many responses, but we're going to try again tonight.
All right. I can't wait to hear your results.
Speaking of sizes and things getting largely overinflated, I'm not sure how much familiar you are with the adult industry, but a lot of these guys report, and a lot of the women report, just some ridiculous sizes that are just medically inaccurate. What is your take on that?
Like stars or people who are watching?
Like stars.
These people are literally chosen for one asset above everything else, right?
Right.
That is why they are in the industry that they are in, is they have this like one feature. And so it's not accurate. It's not an accurate depiction of like the actual population. I think is really good for one thing. I think is great for creativity. I think is really good for like exposing us to new ideas and being like, oh, you could do this in bed, or you could try that, or use one of these toys in this way, right? Like, as a coach, I found that people generally have pretty limited erotic creativity because we're not exposed to a whole bunch of eroticism in our lives, right? So like we get in bed, we kind of know to do these things, but when we kind of expand into what all is possible, like really pleasure can increase exponentially. And I think that erotic literature, poem, like these things help us to think outside of the box a little bit.
I see what you did there.
Inside and outside of the box. But I think that does a lot of harm, both when stars become kind of how we compare ourselves and compare normal bodies, and when stars claim that they want or desire or need to have like a particular size of penis. I think that can be really harmful. I also think I don't think a lot of people understand that stars prepare for these scenes for days in advance, right? Like they don't just get in there and shove a traffic cone in their ass, right? Like they actually literally practice. They're like athletes, right?
Right.
So it's not, nothing about it is comparable. Like if you've ever been on a set, it's not like sex. It is in no way like sex itself.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But my biggest problem with is that, the average, like we've already said, let's just say it's between 5 and 6 inches, fine. But there's some, like I watched an interview where a girl claimed that an adult star named Brickzilla was measured at 15 inches. And to me, that is something like, if I was an average guy, even being above average, hearing that somebody would be more than twice my size or 3 times my size if I was 5 inches, that would absolutely kind of destroy me. And I think that is largely what men have to compare to, because they don't really see too many other men.
I had to relax my face because I was thinking about how 15 inches would literally destroy me.
Yeah.
Like emotionally destroy, physically
can you bring
destroy.
15 inches here?
Oh no.
So let's run that back. or leave it in, whatever.
Yeah. That's terrifying. I don't have here, let me.
So that's 15 inches. Just to be clear, this guy is not 15 inches.
There's no way he's 15 inches.
Yeah, no, he's measured at 9 inches at best.
Where does that go?
Right.
Right, like into my sternum?
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, but that's the kind of stuff that gets perpetuated and can be damaging.
Right.
But why do you think, I'm going to put you on the spot here again. So if you were watching some adult entertainment, whatever it might be, would you prefer to see a more average guy, or would you prefer to see a bigger guy on the screen? Because there's shows like Netflix, Sex and Love, and anywhere in mainstream media and entertainment, there's just this perseveration about like very big penis sizes.
Right.
And we have guys that even put on prosthetic penises, like in the show White Lotus on HBO, like you're featured, that have these extremely large penises.
Right.
Why do you think that is?
I mean, so I think that in mainstream media, when we occasionally see penis on screen. I think the reason that they're using prosthetics and things to make themselves look larger is because it's more tweetable. It like drives more conversation if we think that like so-and-so actor, if number one, we believe that was his real penis, and number two, if we were like, oh my God, that was like something that was outside of average. I think if it was average, we'd probably be like, penis. Which, and these, the producers of these shows are really good at driving views and content, and they want a lot of conversation around it. So I think that that's probably why. That'd be my guess, is like just to have more memes and more conversation. Because anything that's like exceptionally outside of the norm is going to drive more conversation. Okay, so I'll tell you something vulnerable about me is that I don't really view a lot of adult content, but my favorite genre of porn is solo male. So because I feel so consensual.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a guy jacking off.
Okay.
Yeah, solo male, just one guy, he jacks off. It's lovely. I find it to be like kind of soothing, if I'm honest. Because like when I'm watching two people or more than two people, my brain, maybe this is like the sex educator in me, but goes into like, how did everybody get here? Did they get paid fairly? Did they want to be here? Did they like, what was the plot? Was there plot? Is this, or like at least if it's like amateur, then I'm like, okay, this is probably a couple, but like, did they both want to be doing this, or are they trying to do? I can't shut this thing off. So when a guy has just like filmed himself jacking off, it feels like the most maybe like neutral, maybe like there's no, I just assume he wanted to do it. It seems like very consensual, like nobody forced him probably. I don't know, maybe somebody did force him. So I think in those instances, it's not so much the size, maybe is more, it's like the general attractiveness of the scene. Like seeing like an attractive guy, for me anyways, like what's attractive to me, like a fit guy, cut guy, like it doesn't necessarily have to be like a tremendous sized penis. I think like general level of like overall attractiveness. And also like, I'm just thinking back to like one that I think was filmed like outside. There were like some plants and like a soft focus. Like, I still am a video content creator, so I still appreciate high quality content. I know that probably wasn't the answer that you were looking for.
No. Okay.
It's like, again, it matters, right? Like I want it to be like a beautiful penis. That's important to me, right? Like, I hate to say it, but like there, like something that's like, has like a nice smooth shape, or like, it doesn't matter if it has pepperoni, like the angle's not a problem. Foreskin's not a problem, but like the general, like overall aesthetic, because all of these things matter, but no one thing is more important than others.
Okay.
I would rather watch a guy with a completely average or even smaller than average penis, but like abs and like well lit, than a guy with a huge penis but like dirty underwear in the background.
Sure. But it's still though that like I'd rather have this than this other extreme. I mean, so I guess what I'm pushing on is there was a study that showed that women prefer, on average, looking at a man that has broad shoulders, a narrow waist, and a larger than average flaccid. Do you think that's legit?
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it probably is just the same way that studies would probably show that men like an hourglass shape or something like that. They prefer like wider than average hips because it indicates virility and, ability to procreate. I imagine that's probably true.
Yeah. And so I'm going to put you on the spot once again. Okay. You kind of described at least half of it. But your ideal penis, now not speaking for women, just for you in particular, if you feel comfortable sharing, let's just say, what do you think the size would be?
I mean, I think this is probably what most women would say, something on the lines of, is like my ideal penis is attached to the person who I'm interested in.
That's a great answer.
And this is true, when I met my current partner, I had like a big crush on him before I actually asked him out. And I just thought he was so perfect. Like I was emotionally and mentally and physically attracted to him. And he just had all of these, like, even from what I could tell without going on a date with him, like all these things that were really important to me in a partner, like what he was interested in, the way that he spoke to me, and I was like, okay, like we're going to see, but I'm confident that no matter what is going on, like no matter what sexually is happening, like I know that I can create great sex between us, no matter what size he is, no matter what he's into, no matter how sexual or not sexual he is, no matter like, I use the erotic blueprints, no matter like what kind of sexual erotic language he speaks, like I know that I'll be able to figure it out. And, fortunately that all ended up being the case, and he ended up being a phenomenal lover. And so like that's my ideal penis, like the one that's attached to the person who has all this. I guess I'm like giving you a non-answer here.
No, I think that's a very solid answer.
I had one of my like best sexual partners ever had like maybe a little larger than average, but like very curved penis, and that was like a phenomenal experience. Like once we figured out kind of the ways that our bodies worked together, it was like amazing. I could make the curve hit like exactly the right spots, like. You know, but I also, one of my longest term partners, someone I dated for many years, had a significantly smaller than average penis. And we had some of the best sex of my life. We were also like pretty similar in size, like physical size. He probably only weighed like 15, 20 pounds more than I did. And obviously like he had testosterone, so that's stronger than me. Sure. But we had like really physical sex, like really aggressive, because we could like come at each other, because we were like, we could like wrestle a lot.
Yeah.
And that sex was amazing, and his penis was like significantly smaller than what we're talking about.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give a plug for your Legendary Lover course, because I think that you hit on so many of these topics, and men are so hard-headed and so stuck on size. But I just think that course touches on some of these things about like communication, attraction, like building up sexual tension, that goes so much further than just size will take you. So
I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So guys, you should go check out that course.
Yeah. Like I said, it's one factor of many. And I honestly think I can speak for the majority of women when I say that we would rather have someone who knew how to communicate about what we liked and didn't like in bed, knew how to deliver on that, knew how to respect boundaries, knew how to like walk us all the way up to our edges, spoke in like both sensual and energetic and kink, and had like, if you can deliver all of that, penis size is not a factor. Like I don't think it's an important factor for most women. And I think for the women that it is a huge factor for, the like size queens out there, they're maybe not as well versed in all of that erotic language, so they don't know. And they're, we're all just like overly relying on size. But an analogy that just came to me is like, do we want a big engine, or do we want a car that actually suits our needs? Like, I live in Los Angeles, so I see all of these like souped up cars, really expensive, $200,000 vehicles driving around. And the people in them look uncomfortable. They have terrible suspension. They have the convertible top down. It's like 102 degrees. They're baking in there. Like, sure, that car's probably nice to have sometimes, but like for my actual car, like the car that I want to drive looks very different than that, which looks like, kind of hell if it's not in the right environment.
Right. So I'm going to push you a little bit more. I mean, great answer, but let's say that because you're well versed in also toys, what would be your ideal toy size?
I can tell you my favorite toy right now.
Okay.
It's this like beautiful wand, and it has 2 glass balls on either end. So like one of them is like pretty small, maybe like smaller than a golf ball. Okay. And the other one is maybe smaller than it's definitely smaller than a tennis ball. Obviously don't. Tennis ball's big. Yeah. I don't know what. Clementine? Yeah. Maybe it's like a large clementine, a cutie, something like that. But it's made out of glass, and it has like a very kind of thin wand, so it's round shaped like this. So you have a small ball over here and a larger ball over here, and it's really built for G-spot stimulation. And the reason that I love it so much, well, first of all, it's beautiful. It was made like by people that blow glass professionally, and it has a little earth and a little moon inside of the larger ball. Yeah. Again, going back to like the feminine, like what do I love about this toy? I love that it's beautiful. I love that it has like the earth. I love if I feel very connected to like my femininity when I'm using this toy, and I feel like I'm the earth, which is great for me. I love that. And then because of the wand shape and the handle, I like push the larger ball up against my G-spot, and then if I want the sensation of feeling full, I can like pull it a little bit further towards it, like just the first couple inches of my vaginal entrance. So it's not like a traditional.
So it's not a 14 by 7 inch,
it's
gigantic
like,
toy.
you might look at it and not even realize it's a sex toy. Right. It doesn't. It's not like human phallus shaped, right? And I think a lot of women choose sex toys that are not. They don't look like penises because they serve a different role. Like I want the penis that's on my partner, and when it comes to like my solo play, I'm choosing based on like the kind of sensation that I want to create, because it's like less about cylindrical phallus.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And just largely to your point, there's guys, if you haven't seen my other video about like the toys women want, we'll have the card up in the corner. But on average, the toys that women select are typically either right at average, or especially when it comes to girth, slightly below average. Yeah. And so once again, a lot of guys get in their head.
Yeah, if you look at like strap-on selection too, and this is anecdotal, I don't have any research on this, but my friends that regularly use strap-ons, like they have really like small, thin, narrow phalluses for their strap-ons.
Yeah,
usually.
Dr. Hink got the plug on the health, yeah. Got you thinking about your wealth, yeah. In his office, no stealth, yeah. Pinnacle of that below the belt, yeah. Checks and balance, he's managing. Working miracles, no damage. Got you covered, no panicking. Steady calm. In the clinic, no vanishing. Yeah, with Doc Hink, it's the way back.